Feeling tired has become so normal that many people no longer question it. They wake up exhausted, push through the day with caffeine, and collapse at night still feeling drained. Chronic fatigue is often blamed on stress, poor sleep, or a busy lifestyle, but there is a deeper cause that rarely gets enough attention. The food you eat every day sends powerful signals to your body about energy, inflammation, and survival. In this video, we're uncovering the hidden connection between your diet and chronic fatigue and why feeling constantly tired may have less to do with how much you rest and more to do with how you fuel your body. Chronic fatigue is often misunderstood as simple tiredness, something that can be fixed with more sleep or a weekend of rest. But for millions of people, fatigue lingers no matter how long they sleep, how much coffee they drink, or how hard they try to push through it. This kind of persistent exhaustion affects concentration, mood, motivation, and even physical strength. While stress, sleep disorders, and medical conditions are commonly blamed, one powerful and often overlooked factor plays a central role: daily diet. What you eat doesn't just fuel your body in a general sense, it directly shapes your energy production, hormone balance, inflammation levels, and even how your brain perceives fatigue. At the most basic level, your body runs on energy created inside your cells. This energy is produced in tiny structures called mitochondria, which convert nutrients from food into a usable form called ATP. When your diet lacks key nutrients or overwhelms your system with highly processed foods, this energy production process becomes inefficient. Instead of steady, reliable energy, you experience peaks and crashes, brief moments of alertness followed by deep exhaustion. Over time, these repeated crashes can feel like chronic fatigue, even if you're eating enough calories. One major contributor is blood sugar imbalance. Diets high in refined carbohydrates and added sugars cause rapid spikes in blood glucose, followed by sharp drops. These crashes trigger fatigue, brain fog, irritability, and cravings for more sugar or caffeine. Many people mistake this cycle for a lack of willpower or motivation, not realizing their meals are quietly driving the problem. When blood sugar swings happen day after day, your body becomes less efficient at using glucose for energy, increasing the feeling of constant tiredness. Inflammation is another hidden link between diet and fatigue. Chronic low-grade inflammation forces the immune system to stay partially activated all the time. This immune activity consumes energy and sends chemical signals that make you feel tired, heavy, and unmotivated. Highly processed foods, trans fats, excessive sugar, and frequent fast food meals are known to increase inflammatory markers in the body. On the other hand, whole foods rich in antioxidants, healthy fats, and fiber help calm inflammation and free up energy that would otherwise be diverted to immune defense. Micronutrient deficiencies are especially common in people who experience ongoing fatigue. Iron, vitamin B12, magnesium, folate, and vitamin D all play essential roles in energy metabolism and nerve function. Even mild deficiencies, levels that don't trigger obvious disease, can lead to symptoms like weakness, mental fog, and persistent tiredness. Modern diets often provide plenty of calories, but not enough nutrients, especially when meals rely heavily on refined grains, sugary snacks, and processed convenience foods. Over time, the body simply doesn't have the raw materials it needs to produce energy efficiently. Gut health also plays a surprisingly important role. The digestive system isn't just responsible for breaking down food, it influences inflammation, immunity, and neurotransmitter production. An imbalanced gut microbiome can impair nutrient absorption, meaning you may eat a healthy diet but still fail to extract enough vitamins and minerals. Certain gut bacteria also help regulate inflammation and even communicate with the brain through the gut-brain axis. When the gut is compromised by poor diet, frequent antibiotics, or chronic stress, fatigue often follows. Another factor is dehydration, which is frequently overlooked. Even mild dehydration reduces blood volume, forcing the heart to work harder to deliver oxygen and nutrients to tissues. This leads to feelings of sluggishness and mental fatigue. Many people confuse thirst with hunger or fatigue, reaching for snacks or caffeine instead of water. Over time, chronic dehydration can quietly contribute to ongoing low energy. Hormonal balance is also closely tied to what you eat. Diets that are too low in calories, protein, or healthy fats can disrupt hormones that regulate energy, stress, and metabolism. Cortisol, insulin, and thyroid hormones all respond to dietary patterns. When these hormones fall out of balance, fatigue becomes one of the earliest and most persistent symptoms. Skipping meals, extreme dieting, or relying heavily on stimulants can worsen this imbalance rather than fix it. It's important to understand that chronic fatigue rarely comes from one single food or nutrient. Instead, it develops gradually from patterns repeated over months or years. Irregular meals, constant snacking on processed foods, inadequate protein intake, and a lack of fruits and vegetables combine to create a metabolic environment where energy production is inefficient and inflammation is high. The result is a body that feels like it's always running on empty, even when rest seems sufficient. What makes the diet fatigue connection so hidden is how normal these eating habits have become. Feeling exhausted is often treated as a natural part of modern life rather than a signal that something is wrong. People normalize fatigue, blaming age, workload, or stress, while ignoring the daily inputs that quietly shape their energy levels. Yet many individuals notice a significant improvement in how they feel when they shift toward balanced meals with whole foods, adequate protein, healthy fats, and steady hydration. Chronic fatigue is not a personal failure or a lack of discipline. In many cases, it's a biological response to how the body is being fueled. Understanding this connection is the first step toward reclaiming energy. When food supports stable blood sugar, reduces inflammation, nourishes mitochondria, and supports gut health, the body can begin to function as it was designed to, producing consistent, reliable energy instead of constant exhaustion. This doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with recognizing that fatigue is often not just about sleep or stress, but about what's on your plate every single day. Many people try to fight chronic fatigue by adding stimulants to their routine. More coffee, energy drinks, sugary snacks, or quick carbohydrates. While these may provide a temporary boost, they often deepen the problem over time. This is because fatigue is rarely caused by a lack of stimulation. It is more often the result of poor cellular energy efficiency. When the body is repeatedly forced to rely on stimulants instead of real nourishment, it becomes increasingly exhausted at a deeper biological level. One of the biggest dietary patterns linked to long-term fatigue is the reliance on ultra-processed foods. These foods are engineered to be convenient, tasty, and shelf-stable, but they are often stripped of fiber, micronutrients, and natural enzymes. Instead, they are loaded with refined sugars, industrial oils, and artificial additives. Digesting and metabolizing these foods places extra stress on the body while delivering very little usable energy at the cellular level. Over time, this creates a paradox where people consume enough or even too many calories, yet feel constantly drained. Protein intake is another critical factor that is often underestimated. Protein provides amino acids, which are the building blocks for neurotransmitters, enzymes, and hormones involved in energy regulation. When protein intake is too low or poorly distributed throughout the day, blood sugar becomes unstable and muscle tissue may begin to break down to supply essential amino acids. This process increases fatigue, weakness, and slower recovery from physical or mental effort. Many people consume most of their protein at dinner, leaving breakfast and lunch heavily carbohydrate-based, which contributes to midday crashes and mental fog. Healthy fats also play a vital role in sustained energy. Fats are essential for hormone production, brain health, and long-lasting fuel. Diets that are extremely low in fat or dominated by inflammatory vegetable oils can disrupt these processes. Omega-3 fatty acids found in foods like fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds are particularly important because they help reduce inflammation and support brain function. Without adequate healthy fats, the brain may struggle to maintain focus and alertness, leading to the sensation of mental fatigue even when the body is at rest. Another hidden contributor to fatigue is poor meal timing. Skipping meals or eating irregularly sends stress signals to the body. When the body doesn't know when the next meal is coming, it activates stress hormones to maintain blood sugar levels. While this response is useful in short-term survival situations, chronic activation of stress hormones drains energy reserves and disrupts sleep. People who regularly skip breakfast or eat very late at night often report feeling wired but tired, a state where the mind feels restless, yet the body feels exhausted. Caffeine dependence deserves special attention. While caffeine can increase alertness, excessive or poorly timed intake interferes with the body's natural energy rhythms. Caffeine blocks adenosine, a chemical that signals the brain to rest. When adenosine is suppressed repeatedly, it builds up in the background. Once caffeine wears off, the accumulated adenosine floods the system, causing an intense crash. Over time, this cycle worsens fatigue, sleep quality declines, and larger doses of caffeine are needed to achieve the same effect. Sleep and diet are deeply interconnected. Diets high in sugar and refined carbohydrates can disrupt sleep by causing nighttime blood sugar drops, which trigger the release of stress hormones. Poor sleep then increases cravings for quick energy foods the next day, creating a vicious cycle. Magnesium, potassium, and certain B vitamins, all obtained from whole foods, play important roles in muscle relaxation and nervous system calm. When these nutrients are lacking, sleep quality suffers and fatigue becomes more entrenched. Psychological fatigue is also influenced by diet. The brain consumes a significant amount of the body's energy, and it is highly sensitive to nutrient availability. Diets low in essential fats, antioxidants, and micronutrients can impair neurotransmitter production, affecting motivation, focus, and mood. This mental exhaustion often feels indistinguishable from physical fatigue. People may describe it as feeling burned out, unmotivated, or emotionally drained, even when they haven't exerted themselves physically. Chronic fatigue can also worsen when the liver is overloaded. The liver plays a central role in blood sugar regulation, detoxification, and fat metabolism. Diets high in fructose, alcohol, and processed foods increase the liver's workload. When liver function becomes strained, energy regulation suffers, blood sugar becomes less stable, toxins circulate longer in the body, and overall vitality declines. Supporting liver health through whole foods, hydration, and reduced processed food intake can significantly influence energy levels. It's important to emphasize that improving diet does not mean following extreme rules or restrictive plans. In fact, overly restrictive diets can worsen fatigue by increasing stress and nutrient deficiencies. The goal is consistency, balance, and nourishment. Meals that combine protein, fiber-rich carbohydrates, and healthy fats provide steady energy and reduce the likelihood of crashes. Over time, the body relearns how to produce and regulate energy efficiently. Chronic fatigue is often the body's way of asking for support, not stimulation. When the diet shifts from survival mode, quick fixes and artificial energy, to nourishment mode, the body begins to respond. Energy production improves, inflammation decreases, and the nervous system becomes more stable. This process takes time, but it is foundational. Understanding how everyday food choices quietly shape fatigue levels empowers people to address the root cause rather than chasing temporary boosts that leave them even more exhausted in the long run. Reversing chronic fatigue through diet is not about perfection, superfoods, or dramatic overnight changes. It is about restoring the body's natural ability to create, manage, and sustain energy. When fatigue has been present for a long time, the body often exists in a state of constant compensation, borrowing energy from stress hormones, stimulants, or stored reserves. Dietary changes help shift the body out of this survival mode and back into balance, but this requires patience and consistency. One of the most powerful steps is rebuilding metabolic flexibility, the body's ability to smoothly switch between fuel sources without crashing. Many people with chronic fatigue rely almost exclusively on quick carbohydrates for energy. When glucose is unavailable, energy drops sharply. A balanced diet that includes adequate protein, fiber, and healthy fats trains the body to access energy more steadily. This reduces dependence on sugar and caffeine and lowers the frequency of energy crashes throughout the day. Regular balanced meals are essential in this process. Eating every few hours with a mix of nutrients reassures the nervous system that fuel is available. This reduces the need for stress hormones like cortisol to keep blood sugar stable. Over time, cortisol levels normalize, which improves sleep quality, mood stability, and morning energy. Many people notice that once they stop skipping meals and stabilize blood sugar, their baseline fatigue begins to lift even before other changes are made. Restoring micronutrient stores is another critical element. Chronic fatigue often coexists with subtle deficiencies that are not always detected in standard blood tests. Iron supports oxygen delivery, B vitamins drive cellular energy reactions, magnesium helps muscles and nerves relax, and zinc supports immune balance. Whole foods such as leafy greens, legumes, eggs, fish, nuts, seeds, and lean meats provide these nutrients in forms the body can use efficiently. When these nutrients are consistently supplied, energy production becomes more reliable. Hydration must also be treated as a foundation, not an afterthought. Water is required for every metabolic reaction in the body. Even mild dehydration can amplify fatigue, headaches, and brain fog. Proper hydration supports circulation, nutrient transport, and temperature regulation. For many people, simply increasing water intake and reducing reliance on sugary or caffeinated beverages leads to noticeable improvements in energy and mental clarity. Gut repair plays a long-term role in fatigue recovery. When digestion improves, nutrient absorption improves, inflammation decreases, and immune stress is reduced. Diets rich in fiber from vegetables, fruits, and whole foods help feed beneficial gut bacteria. Fermented foods can support microbial diversity, while reducing ultra-processed foods gives the gut lining a chance to heal. As gut health improves, many people experience better energy, mood, and resilience to stress. Another important aspect is reducing dietary inflammation gradually. This does not require eliminating entire food groups unless medically necessary. Instead, it means prioritizing whole foods over packaged ones, choosing healthier fats, and limiting excess sugar and refined carbohydrates. As inflammation decreases, the immune system becomes less demanding, freeing energy for daily activities instead of constant internal defense. Energy recovery also depends on aligning diet with natural circadian rhythms. Eating late at night, especially heavy or sugary meals, interferes with nighttime repair processes. The body performs much of its recovery during sleep, including hormone regulation and cellular repair. Lighter dinners and earlier meal timing help improve sleep quality, which directly impacts energy the following day. Over time, this alignment helps reset natural energy rhythms that chronic fatigue often disrupts. Mental energy improves alongside physical energy when nutrition supports brain chemistry. Neurotransmitters responsible for motivation, focus, and emotional stability are built from amino acids, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals. Diets that support brain health often reduce the mental exhaustion described as burnout or lack of motivation. This improvement is subtle but cumulative, creating a sense of mental clarity rather than constant effort. It is also important to recognize that healing fatigue can temporarily feel uncomfortable. As the body adjusts to lower sugar intake, reduced caffeine, or new meal patterns, short-term fatigue or cravings may occur. This does not mean the changes are failing. It often reflects the nervous system recalibrating after years of artificial stimulation. Supporting this transition with adequate sleep, hydration, and gentle movement helps ease the adjustment period. Perhaps the most important shift is mindset. Chronic fatigue often creates frustration, self-blame, and hopelessness. Understanding that fatigue is a biological signal, not a character flaw, changes how people approach recovery. Food becomes a tool for support rather than control. Progress is measured in stability and consistency, not sudden bursts of energy. Over time, as the body receives steady nourishment, energy production becomes more efficient. Crashes become less frequent. Mornings feel less heavy. Focus lasts longer. The need for constant stimulation decreases. These changes may happen gradually, but they are profound. Diet does not merely influence weight or appearance. It shapes how alive, capable, and resilient the body feels every day. Chronic fatigue is complex, and diet is not the only factor involved. However, it is one of the most controllable and impactful foundations. When food supports cellular energy, hormonal balance, gut health, and inflammation control, the body regains its ability to function without constant exhaustion. This restoration of energy is not about pushing harder. It is about fueling smarter, listening to the body, and allowing biology to do what it was designed to do when given the right support. Chronic fatigue is not a weakness, and it's not something you simply have to live with. In many cases, it's your body asking for better support. When you begin to nourish your body with balanced meals, steady hydration, and nutrient-dense foods, energy production slowly becomes more efficient. Crashes fade, focus improves, and the constant need for stimulants starts to disappear. Real, lasting energy doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from giving your body what it needs to function naturally. If this message helped you see fatigue in a new way, take the next step by paying closer attention to what's on your plate. Small changes, repeated daily, can restore the energy you thought was gone for good.